Good evening, Rumblers. Blue Max here with Blue Max Gaming. In 3 days and 4 hours at the time of recording, we are going to be having map changes for the Arathi Basin. And this video is my predictions. My predictions on what units are going to, specifically what units that are strong in the meta are, whether they're going to improve, stay the same, or whether maybe they're a little less versatile this round, as well as some units that I think are up and coming, that they are going to be stronger based upon the change. And again, these are my predictions. I eagerly look forward to seeing how many of them I got right and how many of them I completely missed. So, what are the changes to the meta? Specifically, that dragon towers are going away and they're being replaced with rocket towers. It's still elemental damage. It's going to be um, greater range, but it is not going to just absolutely melt melee units. In addition, towers will no longer receive fortification, which, if I understand it correctly, means that towers with fortification get double hit points. That means that taking the your left-hand tower is going to be easier, which also means that you're going to have to work harder to defend your own tower. And so I think that's going to open up some aspects to the meta. Um, I think really strong players with really strong, who also happen to have really strong accounts, are still going to be able to play the turtle and spell game that has been so prevalent over the past 2 weeks in Arathi Basin, but I think that's going to be less of a hard requirement, and I think there's going to be more versatility. I think you're going to see additional strategies open up that are going to make PvP even more fun. So let's jump into some units that are already really strong in the meta that I think are either going to get a little bit better or won't change. And the first one is Baron. Yes, Baron got a nerf to his ice mages. Instead of them spawning every 15 seconds at towers, they now spawn every 20 seconds. And as I did in the previous video, that means that instead of getting 18 ice mages at one tower throughout an entire game, you're going to get 14. Um, so yes, you have a reduction. It hasn't felt that overpowering. I still won several matches with Baron last night, but Baron himself hasn't been particularly playable with the Dragon Towers, just melting close range melee. With that change, I think we're going to see Baron as a unit come into play more. So we'll see if that's correct. I think Ghoul and Quillbore are going to continue to be very strong units for map control, especially Quillbore in terms of distracting, whether it's distracting units or distracting the tower and barracks. Execute and Blizzard, I think they're going to become more prevalent since Deep Breath got such a substantial nerf. And incidentally, a lot of us who have Deep Breath are reasonably okay with that because we understood that it was a very overpowered spell and it was dominating the meta. And so it'll be curious to see how the leaderboards shake up. I wouldn't be surprised if I drop some in the leaderboards. Hopefully not too terribly much. Now, next I'm going to discuss some units that are currently really, really strong in the meta that I think are going to see a little bit of a drop. Now, that they might be a little bit surprising, and I may be completely wrong about this. But I think, for example, that Safe Pilot and Griffin and possibly Dark Spirit Troll may see their versatility reduced, and here's why. With Dragon Towers, when Dragon Towers do very little damage at maximum range, which seems to be like 9 or 10, and so at maximum range, Griffin and Safe can do damage to towers and more specifically the barracks. But with rocket towers, those squishy ranged units are going to not be as effective. They're only going to be useful in offensive actions at the barracks if you have a distraction. Specifically, you're using Quillbore, or remember, now that towers are no longer going to have fortification, you are potentially going to see two-pronged attacks. Um, one from your tower your original tower as well as the tower that you may capture. So I just think that using those units in an offensive capacity is going to be less frequent. The Dark Spear Troll is also going to suffer from the added damage that rocket towers are going to do, but Dark Spear Troll, all these units have incredible utility as defensive units, as well as units to control the middle of the map. So I think they're still going to be strong. And of course, Dark Spear Troll has the Headhunter talent finally fixed from beta, which means that um, Dark Spear Troll is going to be able to, upon killing enemy units, increase attack speed and I think it's attack damage as well. Point is, Dark Spear Troll is going to do a lot more damage potentially. Now, some units that I think that are going to rise in the meta. The number one is sappers. I feel like sappers are pretty much a bane of my existence in PvP for two reasons. One, I've struggled with stopping them, especially when they're used in conjunction with either cheat death or smoke bomb. The other reason is because my sappers are sitting at rare and 0 and 25 stars, and I think they're like XP level 15 or 16. Point is, I'm nowhere near getting them to level 9. So at high level PvP, they're an underleveled unit for me. But I think they're going to be potentially even more strong. Obviously, with the towers being weaker, but also I think the principal counter for sappers that I've found and that I absolutely love is polymorph. I think polymorph is going to be a little less predictable with the rocket towers, but again, I could be mistaken. And in talking to my guild leader Jenzik, he doesn't think the rocket towers are going to change polymorph much, but we will see. But Gargoyle is going to be super powerful. Gargoyle is no longer going to just get melted by the rocket towers. I think a properly supported Gargoyle push is going to be really strong. And then, of course, Hogger is going to, just as the map goes along, it's going to get stronger for the first three deployments. The main thing is just melee units in general are going to get stronger. And now I have a few more predictions, and some of them might be a little wild, and that is I think Grom with the 10% hit point buff and just the indirect buff to close quarter melee units is going to favor Grom. I think Prowler therefore also has a chance to get a little more effective, but I also feel like Prowler is relatively easy to be countered with a good quill bore distraction and then let your ranged melee deal with it. I think the real sleeper for this particular meta is going to be the Warsong Raider, specifically with that talent that turns Warsong Raider into a Clash Royale Hog Rider. The one where it ignores melee units and just goes straight for the siege damage. That's going to mitigate your quill bore distraction type strategies. The one that's going to keep Prowler, in my opinion, still a weaker unit. That's going to get mitigated, and I don't think the Warsong Raider is going to take super amount of damage from the rocket towers. I think this is going to be a really strong unit. Another unit I didn't put on here um, would be Cairn. Cairn as a leader may also see a rise in popularity specifically for that 20% buff to horde hit points. If you're playing Dark Spear Troll and Warsong Raider, that might be something that really complements your play, especially since that is a passive ability that is in effect at all times. It's not only in effect when Cairn is deployed. So you can even just not play Cairn the same way many people play Baron and still get that bonus, that buff. So those are my thoughts. In the comments, please share with me what you think I got right or wrong, or if you have some unique ideas of your own, I'd love to hear about them. And please, as always, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm really enjoying putting together content, and I hope you're enjoying watching it. And so with that, we'll go ahead and shut this video down. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.